Thank you. So again, welcome all for this live webinar on decoding Delhi riots. This is an initiative by Organiser and Kesri Weekly in collaboration with many other nationalist media platforms. We have Median, we have Desiyavati, News 13, VSK Telangana, Samvada in Kannada, Janam TV in Malayalam, Kathir, Tamrai, VSK Andhra, Janmabhoomi Daily, Nizam Today. So almost 11 platforms
मुझे नहीं आ रही है
on with us, and what we are trying to do is we are trying to get experts on various issues, and in collaboration with these platforms we are doing this program live for the larger audience. We have two main speakers, and we are fortunate that we have Mr. B.L. Vohra. He's a postgraduate in economics from Delhi University, but mainly known for his contribution as in the police service. He's a IPS of 1967 batch, and after 37 years of his service as a distinguished career, he retired in 2004. He has served in various capacities: DG SSP, DG Civil Defense, and Commandant of General-in-Chief Home Guards. He is also been awarded prizes by Ministry of Home Affairs and National Human Rights Commission for his books. He is a prolific author. He has already authored 13 books. He is also known as a known public speaker and trainer. He works as a consultant to various agencies and even generously guide civil service aspirants. He has his temperament for social service and associated with NGOs like Vastradan, which collects old clothes for distribution among the poor. We also have our second speaker, Mr. Advocate Neeraj Arora, who is a practicing lawyer, an arbitrator, and computer forensic expert. He's going to make a presentation on the larger conspiracy of Delhi riots, because he was member secretary of a fact-finding team called Call for Justice, and therefore he is the best person who has seen what happened on the ground. So he will be giving his presentation. He is advocate on the record in Supreme Court, special public prosecutor with NIA. He is also on the panel of controller for certifying authorities, Ministry of Information Technologies, Government of India. He is a technocrat and lawyer. I think the best combination for the coming days, when we are seeing a lot of online activities. And he is also managing partner with techno legal firm which specialize into criminal law, cyber law, digital evidence, privacy, and other compliances under Information Technology Act 2000. And we expect him to throw some light on why this evidence related to digital activities have become very critical post Delhi riots, because these platforms were used to spread certain narratives. Many people have been asking why this kind of initiative and why we are talking about Delhi riots now. I think there is one person who can throw good light on it, because what was discussed in the name of anti-CAA had a first it started as anti-CA, then it moved into anti-government, then it moved into anti-India, and many such forces, came together. And one place where, after Delhi, there was a lot of momentum for this so-called anti-CA protest was perhaps Kerala. And one person who knows the pulse of Kerala very well and the ground reality is Mr. C.K. Ananda Bose, who was, Chief Secretary of Kerala, and seen the ground situation very closely. He himself is a prolific speaker, writer, and has a tendency to call spade a spade. He doesn't like to be just politically correct. So I'm really glad that he could join us today. When we are talking about Delhi riots, there was a certain pattern that was followed in these riots. And now when we are seeing this, series of charge sheets coming, there is a, regular question that is coming, why Delhi police is behaving in a certain way and why certain names are cropping up. I believe that people who have seen on the ground, these names were already dropping in then. Now it is just being verified. So this is one important reason that we need to discuss, the line of investigation and the way Delhi police is talking about filing charge sheet about Delhi riots. Then there is a second round of, argument that to cover up certain people, other names are being dropped. So what are the difficulties in finding the real culprits? What were the layers in, executing these riots? Who were the real conspirators? This is the another set of questions that we need to ask. And more importantly, when, there is a entire lobby that is now arguing that what we need is another kind of riots based on what we are experiencing in USA in the name of anti-CA Black Lives Matters protest. Why we are not seeing the similar kind of protest? And we have seen recently that there was an attempt to revive the entire Shaheen Bagh movement. So on this background, we are organizing this event, and we hope that in next 1 hour, 1 hour 15 minutes, we will be able to throw light on different dimensions of Delhi riots, and we can try to learn some lessons so that in future such riots do not take place. So before without taking much time, what I would like to do is first I would like to call Mr. B.L. Vohra, who despite his poor health has agreed to join this. So first I will give him a chance, considering its health issue, he might have to leave in between. So I will call upon Mr. B.L. Vohra to make his opening remarks first, and then I will hand it over to Mr. Neeraj Arora for his presentation. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Prafulla. Some people think that the northeastern Delhi riots, they were at the spur of the moment, and there's nothing to be read about it, where there was no conspiracy and things like that. And even for that, Delhi police was blamed. People of the majority community were blamed. But we all know by now, and the findings of the Committee for Call for Justice, of which Neeraj Arora is the member secretary, shows us that it was a very well planned conspiracy. And this conspiracy was planned for months and months together. If you look back, the Shaheen Bagh, then the anti-CA protests all over India, Shaheen Baghs all over India, universities joining all over India, whether it was JNU, whether it was Jamia, and all that. Now, over a period of time, things were being built, and they were working in compartments. It was a very large conspiracy. So some online, some offline, some people doing like PFI, some doing funding, some having international connections, and trying to put pressure in India. Like it happened when the riot happened. The president of Iran, first time India was surprised that even he tweeted against India. And of course, the president of Turkey, the prime minister of Malaysia, of course, Pakistan, and some bodies in the US. Now, what was the motive? The motive was to defame India, embarrass India, and Tukde gang wanted division of India. So somebody gave a speech, divide northeast, take away from here. Somebody talked of Kashmir, take away that from there. And then at the local level, door-to-door contacts, planning, very good planning, people being brought from outside, the bricks being collected, catapults being collected. Of course, Mr. Neeraj will tell you all that. Now, all that happened, and then door-to-door conversing, and on the final day of the rioting, it was that all the people of the school children were taken away because it was known to many people that the riots will take place. And the timing, they chose a very good timing, is Trump's visit. I think that I must accept as a policeman, I cut my teeth in the police department way back in 1970 when I was DCP here in Delhi Police, when I started my career. So I think that police did fail to some extent about collection of intelligence. There was a failure, and at the local level, leadership. And leadership not only is at the commissioner level, that is at various levels, right down to the SHO. So there was definitely some failure. And they were able to have initial advantage in painting India black. But later on, the things improved. Even these so-called riots, it was one-sided only. So later on, people reacted. And I must say, the police has done a very good job. Delhi police is a very fine professional force. And without fear or favor, they have charge-sheeted people of both the communities for murders. This is now in public domain. So this tough handling has been done later on and things have died down. But the point is that this is not the end of the story. Many such things will keep on coming. These people will not back off. They will keep on doing things. And I think the nationalist Indians also have to see that we stand up to them, like India standing up to China. And we have to keep on exposing these people. In a democracy, you have a right to protest. It's your duty to protest. It's your duty to criticize, but do it in a peaceful manner. But see, what is happening is, to my mind, since India got independence, there was a certain narrative being built in the country of appeasing a particular vote bank, and they did no good to them also. They remained poor. This community, minority community, remained poor, uneducated, and they did not get any benefit also. And then, even on the bigger scale, we were having iftar parties, I recall, even at the Prime Minister's level. Why not Diwali party ever? Why not Christmas party ever? Why not Prakash Utsav of the many Sikh gurus at the highest level? But these were never done. So, and what is wrong with the Ayodhya temple? Even triple talaq, they belong to minority community, but this government never thought of it. And what is wrong with the NRC or Kashmir or CAA? So I think the people of India, all the Indians were fed up with that narrative. So they voted them out of power and brought in a new government so that there is some course correction in the narrative. Now, this is not suiting them because they were privileged classes, they were privileged people, they were enjoying a lot of benefits of all kinds. So that narrative, was they are feeling like fish out of water. So the attempt is to defame India, to divide India, to do all these wrong things, which is not done. So I think that we have to be on guard always, all the time. And we have to stand up to this group. Talking of police, I think that police did act late, no doubt about it. I confess that. But I think that is past. But the point is not only Delhi police. I think the police all over the country has to work impartially, hard, fast, have collection of intelligence. But there are forces in the states also, even some political parties. which want to change the present narrative, which is, of course, the course correction that I'm talking of. So I think two things I'll broadly say. One, as a professional policeman, the mistakes that we committed, we must correct them, and we must act impartially, without fear or favor. And we are for all religions, for all people, for all minority communities. I've served for 37 years in the police. We never thought of anybody belonging to a particular religion. If he was a criminal, he was a criminal, and he was treated like that. I have served in Punjab, I've served in Kashmir, I've served in Northeast, I was DGP both in Manipur and Tripura. These things didn't come to the fore, though political masters at different levels, at different places, wanted certain things to be done. But I must say, generally, the police forces have been able to stand up to them. So I think that has to continue. So one last word, I think we all should be more vigilant. We all means the citizens, the police forces and everybody. Allow them, ask them, in fact, to protest peacefully and not talk of dividing India. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you. Now, you know, as a police professional, Vohra sir has brought the aspects related to you know, the difficulties that police face, whether failure and course correction about it, and most importantly, he spoke about the discourse correction. So we will deliberate upon it later. But now I hand it over to Shri Neeraj Arora ji, who investigated the entire Delhi riots thoroughly on the ground and presented a fantastic report. So over to you, Neeraj ji. Neeraj ji?
Sorry. First of all, very good evening to all of you. So, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Thank you. So, first of all, it's my privilege to be here, and I'm thankful to you for giving me this opportunity to share my thought on this particular issue. So, as Mr. Vohra stated, the entire conspiracy was totally pre-planned and have been created by a way of fake narrative. So, now in my presentation, I'm going to discuss how things works at the root level, at the ground level. So, I'm sharing my PPT here. So, these riots were occurred during the 24th to 26th February. But at that time, there was one issue which was in the society. And the issue which was coming in the newspaper was that there was a particular community who has attacked on another community. So issue before the society was whether it was a pre-planned attack by Hindu on Muslim, or by Hindu or by Muslim on Hindu, or was it avoid? So this was the issue. So keeping this issue in mind, our NGO, the Call for Justice, has invited the various members having the background from judiciary, from the police, from the administration, lawyers, and the social worker. The basic objective was to include the experts from the various domains who are connected with these type of the riots and the related legal issues, so they can do the preliminary inquiry and can give their prima facie finding as to what actually transpired there. So the member of the committee were led by Shri Ambadas Joshi, retired High Court judge from Bombay High Court. Then other members were Shri M.L. Meena, retired IS officer, Shri Vivek Dubey, Shri retired IPS officer, Dr. T.D. Dogra, former director from the AIMS, and Srimati Meera Mishra, social entrepreneurs. So after the team is constituted, a proper approach has been developed, keeping in view the way the inquiry is done to ascertain the prima facie fact. So our team went to the affected area. We did the spot where the riots occurred. we inspected the damaged property, we have done the interview of the victim and eyewitnesses, and we have recorded them through the audio and video means, and whatever other electronic evidence in the form of images, photographs, or video that we have collected from the witnesses. And apart from that, we collected the material from news report, we collected the material from the YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and the social media. So basic objective was to compile as maximum material as possible, and the priority was given to the material which was generated in the contemporary period, and also the material which is corroborated from multiple sources, so that the authenticity of the evidence should not become a challenge, and we should not rely upon any evidence which is the fake evidence. So when we did the entire inquiry, so ultimately what we found that the objective of the attack was to create a permanent atmosphere of hostility between the two communities, to further invoke, just give me a minute, sir. To further topple the ruling government and to spread the tension and restlessness among the political parties and the people. So their objective was to divide the country on the basis of the religion, on the basis of the caste, and to spread the disharmony. Now, when I am going to discuss through this presentation, so first we are going to discuss what was the genesis of the riot. Then we will come to how the entire preparation was made and what was the preparation phase, what are the indicators, what are the other evidences which supports that it was pre-planned in a very well organized manner. Then we will come to how it has been executed. Even execution will show the kind of the planning which have been done to execute these riots. And in the last, we will come to our recommendation. So first, I am coming to the genesis of this entire issue. So as also observed by Mr. Vohra, see what happened, that these groups were involved into such type of activities, such type of riots, to create the disharmony among the people for the last so many years. So then there were so many issues which were the live, which were always the subject matter of the contention, and which were used by them for committing the riots, for raising the dispute between the communities. So the prominent issues were Ram Janambhoomi, Article 371, and later on it was the triple talaq. But what happened that in the last 2 years, the government successfully resolved all the issues, and in fact to the satisfaction of most of the parties. So now the challenge for these anti-national groups, radical groups, extremists, was there was no issue by which they can create such type of scenario in the country. So when CA was notified on 12th of December 2019, so they look upon that particular issue as an opportunity. Again, they try to create a cause on which they can go with these illegal activities. They can go with the activities by which they can divide the countries on religion, caste, or various other parameters. So first protest which held on CA was in Jamia Millia Islamia on 13th of December 2019. And thereafter it was followed by the Shaheen Bagh blockade, which was started on 15th December 2019 and continued for more than 4 months. But one of the biggest reasons why these protesters, why these radical groups failed, because the CA does not contain any such clause which could affect the public or the community at the large, because it does not have any ramification for any person who is a citizen of the country. But in order to make a cause, what they did, they created the fake misinformation campaign. And the campaign was in the various form. For example, one of the argument was that you have to show the document prior to 1971, you have to leave to the India, and one of their main target was the person who are the poor, who are the uneducated, and who fail to appreciate their ramification, as even observed by Mr. Vohra. So now what happened? Now they need, when they continue with this cause, but I would say by the February, they have lost the entire sport which could have come from the various communities. In fact, from the January itself. So in the January, they start doing the meetings, planning for committing such a some big event, and they linked this big event with the visit of the Donald Trump, because their attitude was clear that they have to do something big. Second, they want to map it with the visit of the Donald Trump, because at that time the entire international media was zeroing only on India, only on India. So they start doing the planning, and now with the investigation of the Delhi police and the charge sheet they have filed in Tahir Hussain matter, they have already mentioned that Tahir Hussain has done one meeting on 8th January with the other stakeholders when these riots were planned. So the thing which become very clear that they were being planned since December and January. And also an amount of 1.10 crore was being paid to the Tahir Hussain to execute, to create the logistic support for that. But one of the things which I would like to say, that first time in India, for the fake narrative, false narrative have been used in a very unique manner. So what they did, they spread the false narrative through the WhatsApp messages, because WhatsApp is end-to-end encrypted, nobody can intercept. So whatever is the sensitive material with which they want to instigate the public at large, they have distributed them through the WhatsApp. But WhatsApp has a capacity. You can have maximum 256 person in a group. But so though so many groups have been created, but ultimately you have to map, you have to combine, you have to connect these dots. So what they did, at the higher level, they created the groups on the Facebook. Then on the another level, another higher level, they created the groups on the Twitter. So by using the electronic media to the best of its usage, they created the fake narrative to incite the public. So for now, we are coming to the what are the indicators that how they are being planned from the very beginning is, initially the call for jihad was given on 11th of December 2019, and subsequently it was followed by the agitation which was done at Jamia Millia Islamia, then it was done at the Jawaharlal JNU, and during only that period, there was a call which was given by Sharjeel Imam threatening to cut the Northeast India from rest of the country. So then there was a lot of violence in the Jamia Millia, Jamia Nagar on 15 December, and they have chanted Hindu Se Azadi. So basically, their objective was to divide the country. Their objective was to create a disharmony, and with that, their entire narrative was focused on that, and not only from one source, but from the multiple sources. And unfortunately, all the other political parties were also involved into the anti-CAA protest, and in fact, they were fueling it. They were putting more material which was supporting these these radical groups, these anti-national groups. So these are the few of the comments which have come from the number of parties or from the number of speakers, where they try to accelerate, where they try to put their content with joining these radical group in their anti-CAA protest. And this was being done despite the fact that these parties knows very well that as far as the Indian citizen is concerned, there are no adverse ramification in the CAA. Now coming to preparation phase, how the preparation have been done. So subsequent to the inquiry, we have done all the material, we have complied. So what we found that the preparation have been done in a very, very organized manner and at a very higher level. So I would say that there are a number of layers of these radical groups which were operating there. And in fact, they have used the local population by inciting them, by giving them the logical and logical support, and get executed these attacks. So how it has been done? On the one side, there were the passive group like Passive in the sense they were not actively participating at the root level, but they were giving the support in the form of the narrative, in the form of the anti-CAA speech, slogan, and the other material. And then the support was coming in the form of finance, in the form of know-how and logical support from the ISIS, from the Lashkar-e-Toiba. So that has come into the investigation which have been done by the ED. Then at the second layer, I would say the third layer, because second layer I will come to later on. On the third layer, we have the organization like Popular Front of India, which were giving the financial and the logistics support. Then we were having that group, which is Pinjara Tod, Tukde Tukde, who were mainly involved into not only into the online narrative, but they were giving the offline narrative by visiting on the particular area, by inciting the public, by putting the slogans, and then they were supported by the other Jamia coordination committee, Jamia students, Alimani group, local leader like Tahir Hussain and Faisal Faruqi, etc. Now these groups, Tahir Hussain, Faisal Faruqi, they were the basically executant, and they are the resident of that area, and they enjoy a very good financial position and also support in that particular area. So what these group did, they incited the local Muslim, they planned the entire thing, and they executed the attack on the Hindu community on 23rd and 24th. And there was a retaliation subsequently on 25th. So this was the preparation phase. Now coming to the narrative, as I have discussed, this is the unique case. Recently, I have gone through almost all such type of events throughout the world, and there are more than 100 such events as of now throughout the world where such modus operandi of spreading the hate speech, rumor, or other content through online medium, because that is the medium which as of now is very effective. So as I have discussed in the earlier, the narrative was spread through the Instagram, WhatsApp, Twitter, and Facebook. So the basic objective is, if we go by the psychology of the individual person, if you receive the narrative, whatever it may be false, it may be fake, it may be true. But when it comes from the multiple sources, multiple times, then even every person start believing it. Then now in that particular area, there was a segment, sorry. There was a segment of population who do not have access to the technology, mobile phone, internet. Then what they did? They went door to door, did a campaign, which was again aimed at spreading the false rumor, spreading the fake narrative. Then the Ajan was done from the mosques, masjids, and there was a slogan written on the walls. Pamphlets were distributed. So that means every person is getting from the multiple sources, fake narrative, and multiple ways, multiple times, multiple sources and multiple times. And ultimate impact was that they have created the hatredness between the communities. So now coming to the another important issue, why it has been done in the Northeast district, why it has not been done in Shaheen Bagh. See, there are number of reasons to it. Number one is such type of attack cannot be done or executed either in the area which is only Hindu or only Muslim. So first thing which they required was a mixed population. And in the Northeast, there is a mixed population. For example, if there are 2 states which belong to Hindu, then another 2 states which belong to the Muslim. Then it is a densely populated area. So that means if some riot happens, it would be difficult for the investigation agency to control. Then again, it was near to the Ghaziabad border. So bringing the people from outside was quite easy. So it has happened in this case that a lot of persons have come from the outside, executed the attack, and then they run away. So when we recorded the statement, we get so much material in the form of testimony that the people from outside has come. And in fact, during that particular period, there was also some of the news whereby even this Muslim community has accepted the fact that there was a lot of outsider who has done this. Another reason was people there are poor, uneducated. So impact of the fake narrative is more on them as compared to the person who is an educated one. Because the educated person would try to do its own investigation before relying upon them. And in that particular area, there is a past history of terrorism. Earlier, NIA has nabbed one IS-inspired module, and various other members relating to the IS was captured from this area. So keeping these all information in totality, the Northeast district was the best place where such type of riots can be made to happen as compared to any other area. So now coming to the how the planned attack have been executed. See, on 8th January, there was a meeting with Tahir Hussain. So, and apart from that, there was a speech of Umar Khalid on 17th February, whereby he claimed that there would be a protest on 24th and we will show you what we can do. In fact, his own speech was referring to something which is going to happen. And apart from that, if we see the kind of planning which have been done, the kind of resources which have been mobilized, it requires at least a period of 3 to 4 weeks even to compile the material in the form of brick, in the form of petrol bomb, and the other material. And apart from that, when we did the inquiry and we recorded the statement of the various persons, they stated that these targets were pre-identified. So one of the AAP local councillor, Haji Yunus, visited one day before the attack and note down the properties which were later targeted. So here this type of thing was done in every area, because another important thing, if we look upon the, which also support the planning, that whatever attack which have been done on the people of the Hindu communities, these attacks were done on the people who are of repute, who hold some influence into the society. So the basic objective was of the attacker was to attack these persons so it could create maximum impact. Because if particular leader of the Hindu community is attacked, so then it would have the serious impact and repercussion for the entire community which is living with him or supporting him. So some of the other evidences which shows the pre-planning is that on that particular day, all the school belonging to Muslim communities was closed. All the school belonging to Hindu community were open, but the Muslim families took their children from the Hindu school prior to 10 a.m. And even they told them that something is going to happen today. And one interesting thing which we observed is, in the area of Jamuna Vihar, there are so many banks. But one bank, which is an HDFC bank branch, which was headed by the manager who is a Muslim, even that branch was closed. So that means, though this attack was executed at 1 p.m., but from since morning, the bank was closed. So they know with an element of certainty that something is going to happen. That's the one part. Second, something which is going to happen is not good and it is in form of some attack. So that was the reason that why they have not sent their children to the school. If it would have been a peaceful procession, the scenario would have been different. So even on that particular day, when we record the statement of the people, daily wage worker came, but they returned back before 1 p.m. The maid who belongs to the Muslim community did not report for the work. When we recorded the statement of the various persons, even they stated that it was being told that thousands of persons, around 7,000 persons has come from outside. They have, for the last 1 or 2 nights, they were staying into the various masjid and they were being held only for committing these attacks. And another very thing which shows the planning is that planning have been, and all these attacks have been executed through the high-rise building. So in advance, they have identified the building from where the attack is to be done, building where the attack is to be done, and and even all the bricks or these caterpillar pult or petrol pump were taken to the 5th floor, and that was in huge quantity. So attack were executed on 1 p.m. in the noon on 24th, right? An interesting part is why the planning have been done very systematically and by the person who are very trained into these things is even all the roads were blocked, and they were blocked in a manner that outside police cannot come there. And even the protests were done by the group near the metro station, so metro stations were also closed. And what was the impact of this? Let us come to this. How they have organized the mob, right? First, the protesters have started at a predetermined location. They moved in a particular direction, and their movement was very much syncing with each other. For example, if we take the example of attack on the Jamuna Vihar, then at Jamuna Vihar there was an attack from 3 sides. One was from the Chandbagh, second was from the Philampur side, and third was from the Kaddampuri side. So that means attack was from all the sides, and if the attacker would have been succeeded, there would have been huge loss to the Hindu community in the form of the human lives, right? And another thing which was there was the attack was done at 1 p.m. and at that time because Jamuna Vihar is a teacher colony, and at that time the attacker knows very well that the adult and men would not be at the house, and in order to ensure that they should not also come back to protect their families, already they have blocked the road, and also the metro stations were closed. So in fact, when this attack was executed on 24th, for the residents who were residing into the Jamuna Vihar, there was no help and there was no way to bring the help, and also their families member who were the main member cannot join them. So this was the position. And in a number of cases we have observed that people have jumped from the 1st floor. For example, I show you now this is a petrol pump which have been burnt. So the entire attack started from this particular point. So number of buildings adjoining this petrol pump were burnt. And in one of the building at the 1st floor, one lady has to throw his children from 1st floor to the ground floor to protect them and to protect herself. So this was the kind of planning. That means there would not be any help for you, and even you cannot bring any help, and no external force can come into that area. And in fact, on that particular day, no police force could reach at that particular area till late in night. So just coming to some of the timeline, which shows how the planning has been done in a very, very marvelous manner. So on 22nd of February at 11:30, Shaheen-Bagh protesters, they called for the protest from Chandbagh to Rajghat. So the mobilization have been started on only 22nd, but their objective was only to sync the attack with the visit of Trump. At 1:30 p.m., there was a call for Bharat Bandh on 23rd. On 9 a.m. on the 23rd, these people have blocked the Jafrabad road. They have blocked the metro station. So every area from where the external had to have come, that have already been blocked. So what happened on 23rd is that clashes broke at around 3:30 p.m. Number of vehicles, number of cars have been burnt on that particular day near the Jafrabad metro station, near the Jamuna Vihar metro station. And there was a lot of public belonging to both the community, Hindu as well as the Muslim. And in fact, if I say if the riot would have to be happen, so the 23rd would have been the better proposition, because the kind of the mobilization which was there on 23rd, riot could have easily happened, but it was not a riot. It was an attack, and attacker do not want to do anything on 23rd. So what they did? The violence spread, but immediately faded away, because the Trump has to come only on 24th, and their purpose was to execute it only on 24th. And even the people who have joined from outside, they were being kept as a reserve for committing the attack only on 24th. Now coming to 24th. On 24th, first mob started from Chandbag, it moved to the Bhajanpura. They attacked on the petrol pump, and only on that particular road they have burnt more than few hundred cars, and they attacked the civilian, they attacked the properties, they used the petrol pump, they used the acid packet, they used the stone, they were having the guns. So it shows the kind of preparation, because there is a one mob which have gathered, organized themselves, equipped with weapon, start moving in a particular direction. And as I have discussed earlier, I have explained earlier also, similar mob at the very same time start moving from the Silampur, and another mob start moving from the Kardampur side. So the entire Jamuna Vihar area have been covered from all the sides, and this could not be possible until there is some group who are organizing, planning, executing in a very systematic manner. Otherwise, this type of planning cannot be done even by the people like Tahir Hussain and etc. Then on 25th, on the 24th, that was only one side, one group belonging to the Muslim community has executed the attack on Hindu community. Hindu community was totally not prepared. Even the people have told that they were not having even a single danda in their houses, right? So there was no retaliation on 24th, but surprising part here is that on 24th also the entire narrative which was being shown at an international level, which was being shown at a domestic level, was only in favor of the Muslim community, that Hindu community has attacked, despite the fact even the police investigation now shows that on 24th there was not even a single incident on behalf of the Hindus, because there was no such planning, there was no such even response, and there was no retaliation. And the reason why there was the adverse narrative in the media and at international level is because, as I have discussed you, for the first time they have used the narrative through the internet media to incite the violence, but at the same time on the another side. So the narrative was used on the two sides. One, to execute the attack. Second, to manipulate the narrative on the in the media. So what they did, they created so many fake pages, so many fake news, and so many other material on the internet. And what I could say from my own experience, because I'm an internet lawyer, that even search engine optimization was resorted, and ultimate impact was, even if any person go to the Google and search, only the news that Hindu has attacked to the Muslim would come in the first page. So all the news which were coming on the first page were showing the fake narrative. So now we have seen, if we see for the last 2 months, even the China has spent more than 10 billion of rupees to spread the fake narrative, to bring the narrative in their favor. So that planning was done by some group who knows how to manipulate the narrative on the internet. Now coming to how wide is the larger conspiracy. See, the planning we have seen, the kind of planning, the precision with which the attack have been executed, and thinking of the timing, that is something which cannot be done in a such huge area by such large mobs of the writers. It requires a group of people planning, executing, and monitoring the entire thing at the very same time. So, but when the ED has done the investigated, they have found that the PFI has raised the fund for anti-CA protest. PFI has spent 120 crore rupees in a month to spread these and narratives to create the riots throughout the country. And one of the foundation, Rehab India Foundation, have collected the money in crores, and the entire money was collected in the form of deposit ranging between 5,000 to rupees 49,000. So because then PAN is not required and detection detection is not done automatically. Then that funds, 30 to 35% of the funds which have been collected for this purpose was kept at the PFI national headquarters at Shaheen Bagh. And during investigation, the ED has also found the link to the module of the Islamic State, right? And they also find that the PFI Delhi President Mohammad Parvez Ahmed was in touch with AAP MLA Sanjay Singh. He was also in touch with the Congress leader Udit Raj, and now subsequent during investigation, ED has also seized 50 crore of rupees of cash and other document which points to the Parvez Ahmed involvement in financing the Shaheen Bagh protest and these riots. Tahir Hussain met Umar Khalid and Khalid Safi on 8th January at Shaheen Bagh, received rupees 1.1 crore for riot from PFI. So basically, would not say it riot, basically it was for executing the attack. And now coming to the role of Jamia Coordination Committee, they also conspired with Umar Khalid and Shafii ur Rahman, and they also received the fund from one alumni of the Jamia, which were based in the Middle East countries. And other persons who were involved into the fake narrative, executing the attacks in a systematic manner, and some of them have now been arrested by the police are Safura Jargar, who is a student who is claiming that who is now pregnant and trying to get the public view sympathy on that ground, and other members were the Miran Haider, Gulfisha, Ishrat Jahan. They were also found to be involved. That has come with the outcome of the investigation. But we, in our report, basis on the evidence which were at that time, have given this finding that this has happened and there are the conspirators who are behind the entire thing who need to be identified. Then another member, Danish, who was also being arrested, and he was connected with so many PFI members. Faisal Faruqi, who was having the Rajdhani school, which was one of the base from where the attack was executed in the Shiv Vihar. So he was also arrested and his involvement was also found, and his link was also found with the Tablighi Jamaat. So it has now come into the charge sheet of the police. Pindra Tod group has sent the WhatsApp messages. So we have given that finding at the very same time. That entire thing has been done through the messages circulated through social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, etc., and which was now being corroborated by the investigation of the police and with the evidence which is electronic in nature, which cannot be rebutted. So it is not something, the story which is cooked. The entire story is now based on the images, on the video, on the data which is being circulated on the social media and the messages. So this is kind of the evidence which of whose authenticity can be easily verified by the court. So then the law enforcement agency have also found the Pakistani connection. They have also found the involvement of one Indonesia-based NGO who were having the link with one of the another NGO, Faleh Insair, which was linked with the Pakistani terrorist organization Lashkar-e-Toiba. Right? And it was also found by the investigation agency that they were raising the funds in the name of the Northeast Delhi Road. So that has come now during the investigation. Then there is another NGO, Indonesia-based NGO, namely ACT, who are also trying to give the money to the riot victim, and it was also found that the said NGO has circulated the message and images and propaganda on the social media handles, Twitter handles, and try to create the fake narrative at the time of attack, and also creating the fake narrative at the international level to show that it is a organized attack done by the Hindu community, while the facts are totally reverse. And now the entire investigation which have been done by Delhi police is coming in the form of various charge sheet, which is corroborating what we have stated in our report. So these are the outcome of our report. So now if there is any question, there is any other issue which the participant want to discuss.
Thank you, sir, for this detailed presentation on the conspiracy and the findings that you have got on the ground, and you have brought it up to the latest charge sheet and what Delhi police has found in the investigation. Now we have Mr. C.K. Ananda Bose in our audience, and he has seen similar kind of conspiracies taking place, and the kind of narrative that is being played at various level. If one place, that was hotbed of anti-CA protest after Delhi was perhaps Kerala. So I invite C.K. Ananda Bose to make his comments, please. Sir? Sir, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Am I clear now?
Yeah, sir.
Yeah.
Please.
Thank you, Prafulla, for giving me this opportunity to interact with this team of distinguished patriots here. We are all delighted to know that, like the Da Vinci Code, the Damn India Code has also been decoded. Now we know the why and wherefore, the when and who behind the Delhi riots. The culprits have been exposed and the conspirators have been shamed. Now it's a square issue, squarely drawn. What the nation needs is action, not an alibi for inaction. Under the strong leadership of Shri Narendra Modi as Prime Minister, India has experienced, the world has seen how decisive and determined action will take place. Having known this conspiracy which has been executed so dexterously in this country, India has every right to see that there is a surgical strike against terrorism, a surgical strike against divisive leftism, a surgical strike against pseudo intellectualism, which is unleashing intellectual terrorism, a surgical strike against those forces, dark forces, which are plotting the destabilization of this country. We are sure that action will be there. When should we start the action? Today? No. Yesterday. Enough is enough. We have to call a spade, and we should not allow this country to be a hotbed of terrorist resources, terrorist training, terrorist export. Now, we're all very happy that we have a government in power, which means business. When we see the conspirators who are all there, including shamelessly the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress Party has also joined this, as it is revealed from the report. I think Shakespeare would look at this medley crowd and say, the hell is empty. All the devils are here. What we want is not a Hamlet-like approach. We don't want to be or not to be. Well, we have the recent instances of strong action which India has initiated. And we wish that strong action will be here to stem the rot of terrorism in this country. Now, as Prafulla said, I have to bring to your kind notice a time bomb which is ticking in the southernmost part of India, in Kerala, in a district called Malappuram. I would make a distinction between the people of Malappuram and the terrorists of Malappuram. I am speaking about the terrorists of Malappuram, not about the people of Malappuram. The people of Malappuram are part of India. They are our brothers. But Malappuram has become a hotbed of terrorist training, terrorist export, terrorist funding, terrorist propaganda in this country. This has been going on for years, noticed by the governments in Kerala, the UDF and the LDF, but with their tacit support or their conspiratorial silence. Yes, they are also guilty of this conspiracy of silence, the ruling parties which were in Kerala. Now, I request you to recall the riot in 1921, the Mopla revolt. What was it actually? It came in the background of the Khilafat movement, which Mahatma Gandhi had also supported. But in Malappuram, it showed the brutality at its worst. If we call it brutal, even the brutes will find it as a shame to them. What really happened in those days? I do not want to elaborate on that. There was clear butchering of the innocents. Yes, it was nothing but massacre of the helpless innocents, which later on the leftist historians stamped or distorted as part of India's freedom struggle or peasants' revolt. It was never anything like that. The contemporary historians, yes, the contemporary leaders of that time, Annie Besant, for instance, Annie Besant declared it in the strongest terms. He said, if this is Khilafat, we do not want a Khilafat in the world. And Sir C. Shankaran Nair, who was the president of the Congress party at one stage, he criticized even Gandhiji for this. In fact, it was nothing but a parade of brutality. Perhaps the first seeds of terrorism in this part of the country. And now, that is where I find the time bomb ticking. See, the Kashmir bomb could be diffused by us, yes, by the determinate action of the government and the people. The Kashmir bomb has been diffused to an extent. Now is this bomb which is ticking from Malappuram. In 2019, there was a big parade through the streets of Malappuram, where people clad in the dress of those who participated in the Mopla revolt. They shouted slogans, intimidating slogans, saying that in 2021, when the centenary of the Mopla revolt is going to be celebrated, they said the sword which was there in 1921 can still be taken out of its sheath. This is a clear indication of the shape of things to come. I think concerted action is required. We are a country which believes in Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. That is our strength, that is our greatness. But we are also taught when there is a crisis, Samadana Bheda Danda, there are 4 stages. We should use all these. Number 1, this is a time when the media, including the social media and the intellectuals, should start social dialogue. Prime Minister Modi, in his first address to the parliamentary party, said of mainstreaming the minorities. Yes, we believe in that. Equality, yes. Appeasement, no. Equality, yes. Appeasement, no. We have to make a difference between the Indians and the anti-Indians. Yes, we have to make a difference between the people of Malappuram and the terrorists of Malappuram. Malappuram has become the place where terrorists get trained and exported. We cannot allow this to happen anymore. In 2021, if there is going to be a repeat of the same in 1921, we have to guard ourselves against it. Yes, a social dialogue should be there, but we should also be prepared. Even, yes, Mr. Vohra said about intelligence, yes, in any situation like this, there are 4 stages in administration: intelligence, preparation for action, action, and mopping up. We have to have the intelligence of what is going to come. We have to stem the rot. We have to nip the bud. Yes, we have to, if need be, prior to the centenary approaching, even a flag march of the paramilitary forces cannot be ruled out. We cannot allow this to happen anymore. This daily riot is an indicator. It is an eye-opener. We have to take a lesson from this and be prepared to act. Terrorism should be rooted out of this country. We cannot allow this country to be a hotbed of foreign terrorists to play on the people of India. India, first and last. Yes, we are a great nation. India has rediscovered its strength. We have no difficulties in fighting the unseen enemy COVID. And we have certainly no difficulty in vanquishing the seen enemies of the country. We have to take a decision. Fortunately for us, we have a determined and decisive Prime Minister. I think action will be there, action should be there. After that, after showing our strength in fighting against the militants, then we will say we are an Amar Akbar Antony nation. Yes, we respect our plurality. We love our brothers. We believe in Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. India will bring back its glory and tradition. The splendor that was India will certainly come back. Under the Modi regime, I think the motto of the nation is the difficult we achieve immediately. The impossible may take a little time. The difficult we achieve immediately. The impossible may take a little time. Let us have the resolve. Let a strong India rise from its sleep like a giant and start shaking its invincible law. Satyameva Jayate, Vande Mataram. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. As I said in my introduction, you believe in calling spade a spade, and you rightly pointed out that Delhi riots is an indicator, and you added one more reason that in coming days, 100 years of Mopla riots are there, and there are already talks about preparations for not any repentance for killing thousands of people, but celebration of those brutal riots in Kerala. Now we have one more participant who participated in another investigation by GIA, who again went on on the ground and tried to find out what was actually happening during the riots. Professor Geeta Bhatt is there with us. I would request Geeta ji, if you want to add something, some points in the discussion.
Thank you, Prafulla. The report and the investigations have been done by a large number of other members of GIA. In fact, I would like, first of all, to thank all the previous speakers who have really given a very detailed, account of what had happened and how the sequence of events took place. The GIA report, which is there available, it is available on the public platforms, and it gives a very detailed account of the interviews which have been taken by the GIA members of the victims, who have been the kind of atrocities that were done on them, and also interview of the family members, whose lives have been lost. In fact, I would also like to use this opportunity to bring forth some recent developments which others would like to bring forth and put light on. That the High Court of Delhi has very recently asked the crime branch not to reveal any of the evidences that have been collected by against the Pinjra Tod activists who have been detained by the police. And this has been done based on a case that has been filed by one of the activists of Pinjra Tod, Devangana, asking that the police officer who is in charge, he has to give a personal affidavit and saying that no information regarding this is going to get revealed in the public domain or to the press. So this kind of whether this kind of a affidavit being asked from a police officer, not to put anything on the public domain, while a lot of document gets available when it is submitted in the court. So it does get available uh, to a large number of people. So if these kind of things, will it be, how this needs to be viewed?
Is it a question for
Yeah.
Neeraj ji?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
I'll come to Neeraj ji a bit later. Neeraj ji, this is a question for you regarding the affidavit that is being asked. Another panelist who was part of call for justice team, Ms. Neera Mishra is there with us. Neeraj ji, would you like to add some insights while working on the ground? What were the reactions from women, especially who participated, or in some protests, or what were their reactions? How do you see this entire thing developing? Neeraj ji, you will have to unmute yourself. Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine now. Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to, there is some screen has come up. I don't know what is that.
No, it's fine, fine.
I would like to just focus on two important issues which I have understood from this whole fact-finding team. One is that we have to give this a very serious thought in the terms of strategy, how, because the women of the minorities were getting empowered due to the abolition of triple talaq, due to the Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, and getting all the gas connections, everything, like whatever was happening to every woman was happening to them for the first time. So they have very strategically started orienting the women through this Pindra Toad and JNU gang. So we heard about young women or girls, you can say, moving into every household. First, they used them for the Shaheen Bagh type of protests, orienting women into by 3 disinformation. So this is something that in terms of action to be taken, we have to work on. Second, on the ground, what I saw when you heard the news that minorities under attack, at the Yamuna Vihar petrol pump belongs to Mr. Maheshri. JCT school that is the training institute that was harmed was belonging to Vinod Joshi. The service lane area there was another academy belonged to Naveen Gupta, and that is the house from which Preeti Garg had to jump out with her child. Then nearby there was this Captain Katora restaurant belonged to Kamal Sharma. Then there was a gas agency, Manveer gas agency belonged to Mr. Chaudhary. So you see the pattern here. There were many places and many flocks here. Then we go to Noor-e-Ilahi area, the road. What is attacked? Ganga Pharmacy belonging to Mr. Sharma. The Mishra Pan Bhandar, Pandit Bhojanalay. Now you see how selectively, nearby there was a Habib not attacked. So this narrative of, false narrative of minorities under attack is so shocking. And I don't understand why even celebrities are, the so-called celebrity commentators are going by what they hear, by the false narrative. Has anybody gone on the ground to see? So in every area, even in the Shiv Vihar area, one of the richest in that whatever community it is, the lower middle class, his house was completely damaged. Then another hardware shop damaged, all belonging to the majority community. So how can they say that minorities are under attack? If there was a retaliation on the second day, that's a secondary matter. But main issue was, why were on day one synchronized attacks done on the majority community? The Rajdhani school had this, everybody was talking of Tahir Hussein's catapult. The Rajdhani school had this big catapult and a rope hanging, and how brutally they damaged the school, DRP convent school. That belonged to a majority community. So this narrative has to, I think something has to be done to counter the false narrative, and also to do something. The women there were so scared. We went to all the colonies. The women were scared that since they had done so systematically at a time when there are no male members, what was their intention? Their intention was to create fear among us so that we run away from here. So, I mean, are we seeing something like Kashmir being repeated here? That the experts are going to comment on. What I'm telling is what I saw on the ground. Every woman was scared to the core, and all of them were attacked during the daytime when they were alone at home. One set of women told us something very, very disturbing, that during the afternoon when the schools close, a group of school children are being radicalized, and they pass by that area every day raising slogans of anti-India, the type that you heard in JNU, which were written they're revealing themselves by their own action. The wall in front of Shiv Vihar was full of the Tukre Tukre gang slogans. Jilla Wali Azadi. I'm not going to repeat all that. Everybody knows those Tukre Tukre gang slogans. So the whole conspiracy is targeted also to scare in the local community. Everywhere we came to know that among the local people, whether Hindus or Muslims, they lived in amity, and everybody told us that they were outsiders. And no outsider can come without a pre-planned, strategized, synchronized, program to do something which is going to harm the people, and mostly the women and children. So I think I would just like to focus on these two aspects, that the false narrative of minorities under attack has to be tackled in a more intelligent way by people, by all of us. And we have to find, I think we have to use the media to help us in this. And the women who are being misled and through disinformation about CAA, those women have to be brought back into the mainstream again to understand the ploy of these people who are destroying their lives.
Thank you, Neeraj, for bringing that issue. Now, Neeraj, there is already a question for you. That an affidavit is asked from a police official. Is there any precedence why this particular thing is followed? But I have another question that has asked online watcher to our discussion. He's asked, the similar kind of narrative is now again built when the riots are taking place in USA and many other European countries in the name of racialism. And many prominent handles are talking about people again coming on roads, and there is also talk of reviving Shine Bagh again. So what are the chances that we witness similar kind of writing or the threat of writing now, and how should we counter? Are we better prepared now?
So coming to your first question regarding the affidavit, we need to appreciate that these are very serious offences of murder, attempt to murder, robbery, etc. So the problem which comes during the trial into these cases is that the witnesses are being influenced, threatened, forced to change their testimony. I think that is the approach why the High Court has stated that the evidence should not be disclosed. In fact, the police should not have disclosed it at the very first level. So if the police is disclosing something, that could be the fatal to the success of these cases. So asking the affidavit, I think, is the right approach of the court to secure the witnesses. Now coming to your second question, whether second such riot could happen. So I would say they are in session. They are being planned. Because if we now go to the Twitter and when we see that again same type of narrative is being built up to create the riot. Now they are covering the issues which are more wider than the earlier issue. So now what they are doing, they are clubbing anti-CAA with migrant issue, with the other political issues. So they are combining so many issues, and now they are inciting that if such type of riot could take place in US, then why not in India? So now they are fueling the same narrative. So I think the government should act, and first they should stop this narrative. The reason is the fake narrative gets faded away in the very similar speed in which it is created. For example, if the fake narrative is being published and if the genuine narrative, correct narratives comes from the authentic sources, for example, government or the society, so then that false narrative get automatically faded away. For example, now in COVID-19, there was so much fake narrative regarding the coronavirus. But what the government did? Government has created so many channels. Every police has on their website created the channel that you can verify the fake news. Then all the social media, WHO, all the media channels, they have created the helpline, they have created the platform where an individual can go and can verify the news. So I think it is the now right stage that we should act proactively to create what I would say, to create the proper narrative and genuine narrative and to take care of this fake narrative. Because if we are taking only the action subsequent to the riot, then the damage which is caused, that will be under. So we should proactively on that.
Thank you, Neeraj. We have another question. There is an attempt to whitewash the crime of people like Tahir Hussain or Faisal Farooqi in the intellectual space, where many prominent people are coming forward and creating the narrative of Islamophobia, not just in India, but outside India. How we can use, you are also a forensic expert and who works on even the digital crime related issues. How we can control this issue, and what are the ways people can play their role in countering such fake narratives?
See, now moving to the virtual world, moving to the cyberspace, the type of crime have changed. The way in which the crime is done, that have changed. And also the impact have changed. For example, when in the beginning the fake news was being spread, the fake news was being spread through the loudspeaker. So we have the law which was created at that time. So in the US, what the investigation agencies are doing, they are doing the proactive policing. Proactive policing means they are already present on the social media, on the internet, and the moment the fake news comes, they start taking action. So basically, we are also required to train our investigation agency to adopt that approach. So that is the first thing. Secondly, we need to make aware the investigation agency and our judiciary that the impact of the fake narrative is not something which is a small thing. In fact, the fake narrative are weapon of war. If you look from the time immemorial, every country was using the fake information in the war. And it is a well-known fact at international level that the one of the country which is a misinformation country, which use the fake information to best of its advantage, is the China. And by spreading the misinformation, the kind of the benefit they get for their own, that are much huge in terms of the resources which are being spent and in terms of the loss which occur to them. So we need to spread the information, awareness and education with respect to the fake news, misinformation campaign because their impact is disastrous. We need to understand that issue. And what the Trump has done recently by withdrawing the protection to the Twitter, we should also go with by modifying the protection which is being given to these social media websites. The reason is you take any riot, any crime which is happening in an organized manner in India, the role of the media is that media is being used as a platform, as a facilitator, as an abettor, and it simply washes away its hand and goes away. So it's the right time to think upon to what extent we need to modify these assumptions so that they should act with responsibility. So that is the need of the hour.
Thank you. We have another participant in our group, Mr. Anand, who is editor of a portal called Kadian in Chennai. Anandji has a question for the panelists. Anandji, please go ahead. You will have to unmute yourself. You are on mute.
Can everybody hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
This virus, which is called as Corona or COVID-19, would have not become such a big issue or a pandemic like what is this today, what would have been happened to the anti-CAA protest? How would have they kept this protest alive? And would this Delhi riots would have happened in any other part of the country, like at least like wherever it is possible, Chennai or Mumbai or something else? Would have that happened, and how would have that kept this anti-CAA protest alive?
So, what I would like to add here is that I have explained in the beginning also that they have chosen that particular area and focused on it because there was a combination of the mixed population, but they can do it at any place and it could have been done at a bigger level. Probably, I would say, if we analyze these riots very minutely, one thing which I want to add and kindly appreciate it and its gravity. The way the road have been attack have been executed, where the resources have been generated, it was possible for them to use the weapon also, but they have not used the weapon. Reason was the intention was to create the momentum and to spread these type of attack and riots throughout the country. But what has happened subsequently? They were exposed, and here I would say the investigation which have been done by Delhi police is very meticulous and the entire fact has come before the society. But we need to train our these investigation agencies in a much better way, at least how to handle the electronic evidence, because what has happened in this case also, that if you see when the planned attack was executed by this group, first thing what they have done is they attacked on the CCTV. But during that particular period, there were so many videos which were being posted. There was so many hate campaign which was there on the website. But subsequent to the riot, when case were registered, entire material was removed. So this is another one of the challenge which is for Delhi police, where they have to bring in some expertise how to handle the electronic evidence to prove its authenticity and to get it proved in the court of law. But I think your question is right. It would not have been curtailed at that time and proper action would not have been taken subsequently. This could have spread throughout India. And it was basically the plan of the anti-national extremists and these radical groups.
Now, before going to Shri C.K. Ananda Boshi, there is one more question. What are the lessons for us from this Delhi riots, and how we can ensure that, in future, such fake narratives are not used to instigate people. This is another question that has come online.
See, there are three components which we need to keep in mind. The first component is the narrative. Second component is the logistics support. Third component is the activities of the anti-national group. So basically, we have to monitor all the three. But first and the foremost thing is the need to do the proactive policing. The moment any fake narrative comes, that the police should investigate, police should zero on it, police should try to find out what is the bigger conspiracy behind it. Because if it would have been done in the present case also, the kind of the investigation which has to be done, kind of the loss which have been faced by the common population, including Hindu as well as the Muslim, because the attack was done by the anti-national group, by the group which are extremists, which have their own specified objective. So if we are able to do these things, and I think which are something which can be done only through the computer by doing the proactive policing, then we would be able to catch hold of every crime which is going to happen. Another thing which I want to add here is now with artificial intelligence, there are so many technologies that we can use the artificial intelligence for predicting the crime also. Even that is possible. So if you are putting all the parameters, you are importing the data from social media and putting in the AI engine, and you are even putting other flags or rider in the AI engine would be able to give you some prediction what is likely to happen. So now with technology, these things have become quite easy, required minimum resources, saves the human lives, saves the effort, and saves the huge cost. So as now we are moving to the virtual world, now we are moving to the cyberspace. We are required to learn the tool and weapon of the cyberspace to control it. See, cyberspace is made up of technology 1 and 0. It's at the binary level, work with the binary. So in the cyberspace, if you want to control, you have to use the similar approach of the technology. So that's the best way to do it.
Thank you.
Can I just add something?
Yeah, please.
He's talking about very nicely proactive steps. Now we know it is a very well known law that if anybody advertises a product and the product is faulty, the advertiser is also, the person who's advertising is also liable, So we have to be extra careful in whose product we are promoting. In the same way, if celebrities come in, start giving, comments and start supporting people who are doing criminal activities, I think there should be a law also to make them liable. Because recently, Mr. Javed Akhtar very smartly said that Tahir is being framed. Has Mr. Javed Akhtar gone and seen the house of Tahir and the type of preparations that were gone there? Has he gone and seen the house of Faisal to see the type of preparations and catapults that are being built over there? How can they pass such comments? So there has to be a law for that also, that celebrities should be a little more careful. In fact, something like this happens, they'll be a little more careful automatically.
Thank you, Neeraj, for adding that. Now, in this fantastic discussion, we can go on, but the last word I will give to Mr. C.K. Ananda Bose. Sir, there is a question. You made a detailed reference to Mapla riots, and 2021 is fast approaching. There's Mr. Gopakumar who has asked this question, who said, what should be our precautions hereafter to counter this kind of, patterns? First, building a narrative, then, making some background preparation, creating some facade about one particular community or identity, and then executing the thing. You have been administrator, you have studied history, and now you are seeing presence, and you are also talking about tough actions by the present government. So what should be the precaution we should take at the societal level, administrative level, political level, legal aspect. Neeraj ji has already covered, so I would request you to make the final comments, then I'll conclude the session.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you, Kumar, for the very relevant question. I think to face an exigency like this, particularly one which has got emotional overtones, we have to be very guarded in our approach. This does not mean that we should go in for appeasement. What is required is what Roosevelt said during the Great Depression of the 30s. Open covenants of peace, openly arrived at. Open covenants of peace, openly arrived at. The basic feature is that we are all Indians. We love Indians. We love people of all communities. But India first. We will not allow anyone to take away the integrity, security, and the oneness of India. In this background, there are quite a lot of social engineering which is required in facing the coming centenary of the 1921 Mapla revolt. First is social dialogue. That has already started at the highest levels in government, as I understand. The first call for this was given by Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji in his address to the Parliamentary Board, mainstreaming the minorities. Yes, we should start social dialogue at every level so that the truth comes out. Second, we should give the impression that the nation is ready. The nation is ready to defend itself. Eternal vigilance is a price of freedom. We should show that we are ready. We are not aggressive, but we are ready to face any situation. Since disharmony begins in the minds of men, it is in the minds of men that defenses against it are to be built. Therefore, the media has got a role to play. The social organizations have got a role to play. The civil society has got a role to play. We should to foresee and to be forearmed. That is what is required. If anybody is trying to utilize the memories, dark memories of 1921 and foment trouble in 2021, the society has to be made vigilant against it. I think that is the first step. Then, of course, the intelligence agencies. See, these are all areas where somebody is trying to deliberately clear problems. Look at the revelations in the report on the daily rights. A few persons, a few conspirators are enough to create dissension in society. Knowing it full well, the intelligence agencies have to guard their agent and as an administrator, I would say, when it is needed, we have to act. We do not want a soft state. Our problem has been that India for the last 70 years, on many occasions we have been soft state. And what is a soft state? You have a rule, but you bend it for some people. It is like the triangle has got three sides, but occasionally it can have a fourth one for somebody. No, we do not want a soft state. Action should be taken, even preventive action. Yes, if required, on the basis of intelligence report and assessment by government. If required, the troublemakers should be arrested under preventive detention under the laws of the land. Make it clear that we are together. There can be unity amidst diversity. But that doesn't mean that Indian constitution can be defaced and defiled and people can create dissension in society. As somebody said, yes, Mr. Vohra said, dissent. Dissent is basic to democracy. Yes, dissent should be there, protest should be there. But democracy should not degenerate into mobocracy. I think in the context of the upcoming 2021, I would say that we should not allow democracy to degenerate into mobocracy. And one last word, Prafulla ji, in the Yoruba tribe in Africa, there is a folktale. Truth and untruth are siblings. Once untruth asked truth, let us swim across this river. Truth agreed. He went to the bank, he unrobed himself, jumped into the river. Untruth took the clothes of truth, donned it, and went to the marketplace, to the town. The townsmen see, here is truth coming, because they see the garb, the apparel of truth. But inside it was untruth. They hailed untruth in the garb of truth. Then truth comes out of the river. He finds his clothes are missing. All the clothes which lie there are the clothes of untruth. Truth decided, under no circumstances will I wear the clothes of untruth. So truth goes to the town without any clothes. That is how the concept of naked truth comes. People jeered at naked truth and they hailed untruth and the garb of truth. This is what is happening in India now. But people will certainly see what truth is. The question which Gopakumar asked, a very relevant question. We have to show people what is truth. We should tell them untruth, which masquerades as truth, is not the reality. Naked truth is what people respect. Our duty to see that the nation knows, the people know. Every community knows, every Indian knows what is the truth. Once people know the truth, I'm sure that is distortion of 1921, which is going to be repeated in 2021, will not happen. So let us all unite together to uphold truth before the people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This was the very purpose of organizing this panel discussion and making it live through various portals. That this naked truth of riots and rioting, come out, and people actually go out and see with naked eyes what is the truth. Thank you, Shri Neeraj Arora ji, Shri B.L. Vohra ji, for sparing your time and participating in this endeavor of panel discussion called Decoding Delhi Riots. Sikh Ananda Bose ji, always grateful to you for showing your affection for organizer. Neeraj, old contributor of Organizer, so is Geeta ji, but both are associated with detailed investigation on the ground related to Delhi riots and shared their experiences. I would also like to thank our all co-organizers in this event, Kesri Weekly, Median, Desyavarthi, News 13, VSK Telangana, Samvada, Janam TV, Kathir, all Nizam Today, Janmabhoomi, all of them, joined hands together and enabled us to take the message or lessons of Delhi riots. Many people are still hoping that in the name of, in the same banner as Black Lives Matter, that movement is built up in the US. We are sensitive about whether racial issues or communal issues, but that doesn't mean that the fake narratives are built to give cover to the criminal elements. That is perhaps the biggest lesson we need to draw as far as Delhi riots is concerned. With that, I would like to thank all the participants again and the panelists for allowing us to making this event successful. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Namaskar.